Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 47, The Spartan Among Us, here at Fan Fuel Motorsports Podcast. I say that because we are joined by the guy who drives a 51 Xfinity Series Camaro, and he is from Spartanburg, South Carolina. So if you don't know who that is quite yet, it's Jeremy Clements. Welcome to the stream. Jeremy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. We were going to have one of your sponsors, Steve Carnes, on last week, but sadly he was recovering from COVID, so we'll have him on next week. But we were really excited to have both of you guys on these first couple of shows for 2020. Start the shows off big with some, fairly big name driver and their sponsorship combo. So I do want to go ahead before we get into talking about stuff specifically for you. Talk about where the sport is kind of right now, and we are going to the LA Clash this upcoming weekend. But first, this weekend they're going to have the NFC Championship in LA, and then the following week they'll have the Super Bowl. So, with that, do you think that it surrounds the schedule for our Clash well enough that we're going to find a lot of new fans out there in LA? And is this a move that you think is pretty good for the guys in the series above yours?
Oh, that's a pretty loaded question. I would say I think it's great going to LA and racing. I don't know about this track at all. I mean, it's super small. I don't have a clue if it'll put on a good show or not. I guess we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
But it's the smallest track that they'll race on for sure by far. I mean, Martinsville's a half mile. This is a quarter mile. So who knows how to go? I think it'll be a wild race. You're going to see some tore up cars for sure, some beating and banging, which should put on a good race. I hope they can pass. I hope there's two grooves. But I'll be watching just like you guys. I don't have a clue. These new cars, they'll be the first race these cars have even raced against each other, right? So it's all a big unknown. I have no idea. So it'll be interesting to see. I'll be having a cold beverage watching it along with you guys.
Yeah. So you being in the Xfinity series, obviously you're a little bit separated, seeing as you're still in Spartanburg with your shop and everything. How was the feeling with the other guys with this new next gen car? It's coming in, and it's really taking away a lot of jobs and stuff. So you've got a lot of engineers and stuff that may or may not have a job, or fabricators and stuff like that. How is that going to affect you guys in the Xfinity series as far as finding new people and personnel? Is that helpful, or are they going elsewhere as far as their jobs?
That's a great question. I mean, we haven't hired anybody new or looked for anybody new, to be honest. We're really got the same people we've had past year. So we're a small group, 4 or 5 guys on the team full time in this race car shop you see behind me, and then the engine shop is on that side, and it supports 15 people or so roughly, just off the top of my head. But I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people. I know some people have definitely lost their job and gotten to other things. Maybe found other teams. There's new teams that have started in the Xfinity series or even the Truck series. They might have moved dipped to a different series of teams. So the new car, it's all so new with all that. I mean, you just don't know. It's affected us with the pit crew situation for sure.
Okay.
It's been a headache. You still don't really have a full-time pit crew yet, trying to work those details out. But, the guys that usually would pit the car, they're not allowed to pit any truck or Xfinity series cars right now because they don't want them going back and forth from one lug to 5. So that's kind of a pain. But besides that, I mean, everything else, I'm just trying to think. Everything else, nothing else really affected us as far as all that goes. But it's going to be interesting to see how that new car plays out. I know they're low on parts. They only got, a few cars built for multi-car teams, and they're going to a quarter-mile track that they're going to definitely tear it up at. And then they're going to Daytona, which we all know they're going to wreck there. And then you better have some cars for the West Coast immediately after. So all that being said, man, I'd be scared to death if I was a Cup team owner or a guy that takes care the general manager or whatever. So it'd be scary, but I wouldn't. I don't want any of that problem. So I'm glad where we're at. Being the driver and owner of a team, I don't want to mess with any of that. I like where the Xfinity Series is at.
So with the part shortages and stuff for Cup, obviously because the new car, I'm wondering how is the difference between the next gen and the Xfinity platform being so much vastly bigger than it was with the Gen 6 cars, the COTs, etc. with you guys. How is that in the long term going to affect your guys' parts availabilities as far as, especially some of the really underfunded teams in Xfinity trying to get some of these recycled Cup parts going forward? How do you think that's going to maybe stunt or even help the diversity or growth of your series?
I mean, everything for them is totally new, right? So, I mean, everything for us is still the same. And we've, in my opinion, have access to way more parts than ever. Even the cars, buying a car, you can get a car. And even though we have to change the body, change the front clip, you have to change a lot of stuff, to be honest. Spend a lot of money to do that. But we've gotten some parts from here and there, axles and dry plate, right, that we bought for cheap that came from good teams and they barely had any use on them. So that was good. So we've had plenty of access to parts for us still, luckily. So I don't know. I don't talk to a lot of cup team guys and all that stuff. Somebody walked in. I was just trying to see what it was. It's my guy that letters the car big A. He's walking through. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like, we've been fine with parts and everything, luckily. So we've got everything we need, thank goodness. But yeah, that Cup deal is a whole nother headache, right?
Yeah, but you don't think going forward it's going to limit where your guys are going to get parts, especially for the secondhand stuff for some of like the teams that are funded a lot less than you guys?
Well, not right now, but yeah, maybe we'll see that in the months to come, or a year from now, or yeah, when we buy Cup cars before. All the cars that we have right now are from Ganassi from 2019, and we haven't bought any new cars since then. So yeah, I don't know. That's some great questions. Some questions maybe I can't answer the best, really, because I'd have to let Morris or Mark in our shop here answer those that deal with all that stuff.
Right.
I don't necessarily deal with that part much, but that's a great question. That will it affect us? It might, but I guess there's so much of it right now. It definitely has it.
Yeah. Okay.
And Alex, you gotta remember, this man. Every time that I've been up there, he has had at least 25 phone calls in the same time of a 45-minute span that I've been up there working with him with mats and other things. He is on the phone with more people than you actually realize, especially as sponsors. So, going back and forth with them, it makes it a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always trying to, accommodate to my partners, get all that done, do interviews, there's just so much that goes into it, and you'd be surprised.
Yeah. So, well, kind of moving away from more of that next gen type stuff. 2021 saw you guys be a playoff team, and 2022 is seeing some new faces come into the Xfinity Series, but also you're losing a couple of cars with Team Penske going away, and I'm pretty sure that JCR is consolidating just a little bit. So, how are you feeling about this coming 2022 Xfinity season for yourself and your team?
I'm excited for it. I don't have a clue competition wise what we'll see. We'll have to wait until we see the official entry list. You always hear, oh, this team's coming, that team's coming, but till they've paid all their entry fees and all that's done and they're on that list, and I don't even really worry about it or look into it. All we can do is make sure our stuff's as good as it can possibly be for whoever we're gonna race against. But I know there's gonna be obviously There's gonna be 4 good junior motorsports cars, 2 RCR cars, no Penske car. Colleagues cars are fast. Yeah, so there's going to be a good field for sure. I don't underestimate it at all. I think it might be even tougher than it was last year. So with that said, it's not like football. We can't go outside and get other teams to race against us, right? So I don't know. We don't know what we got until we show up and see what kind of speed that the car has on that particular weekend. But I feel good about where we're at. We've made our engines better. Mark Setzer, the crew chief, and my guys have been working hard on the cars and trying to get those prepared as best as possible. And we're already got 3 cars set up for this year. So, being prepared is a big thing. So we're really looking good. I'm really proud of where we're at, and I just hope we bring fast enough cars to the track to compete against these big teams.
Well, I mean, this past year you seem to be pretty fast on the 1.5 miles, which is still a good chunk of you guys' schedule. So I'm not doubting that you guys are going to be in the same boat. I'm hoping that you guys make a playoff run. But how much more did it mean to you to get into the playoffs last year compared to your Road America victory that didn't get you in the playoffs that year because of the way that the points shook out?
Yeah, it was awesome to make the playoffs last year. It was a big accomplishment. I had 3 goals for last year. One was make playoffs, win a race, and to not drive a blank car. So we got 2 out of the 3. Still worked on that victory, but didn't get it. We still had some work to do. There was probably 3-4 races that we had pretty dang good speed, but to get to win a race, speed is we got to step it up some more for that. But I was proud. Man, we ran damn good at Atlanta, and I was really proud of that, especially the first race. Mm-hmm. Darlington, we had speed there. So those wore-out tracks that the tires go away quick, those were hell of fun for me, and we brought good pieces. And that makes a big difference when you bring a car to the track that has speed and it's not out to lunch. And then there was a few races that we just flat out sucked. So, I mean, You're going to have that, right? Yeah. But I'm proud of our effort. We got a full notebook now to go off of for this year. And together, Mark and I, we didn't have that last year. So I'm hoping that'll make us better. But you never know how to go. I'm looking forward to the challenge, though. I know that. And we're going to give it everything we got.
Yeah. So any of you other guys want to jump in here with some questions before we keep moving on?
Well, I mean, does the old surfaces like not Daytona, but Darlington and Atlanta, or not now with Atlanta coming up and that repave, but do you feel like even at Richmond that you get around those because you ran all of those races on Cherokee growing up, in a late model where you got sort of a sandy play surface and it didn't really have all the grip into it that some were, like, say, around in some of the Tennessee tracks where they were hammered down and it didn't matter where the grip came from?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chad. I feel like for sure racing dirt helped me a lot with the wore out tracks. Those are probably my favorite tracks to race at, Darlington and the way Atlanta used to be, California, going to it. Anytime before they repave a track is the best. And it's a lot of fun to me to slide around and work the car, maneuver it, and push it to its limit and get all you can get. But, back when I raced dirt late models, the track would start out tacky normally, and you could hammer down, and then it would dry out as the night goes on, and then you'd have to figure out how to finesse the throttle and keep the rear tires under you and keep forward drive and forward momentum and not burn them off. And that helped me a lot with learning how to drive these cars in those same conditions. Like you said, at Richmond, definitely the tires go away and you had to work on forward drive a lot. Martinsville, same type of thing. So those are I like those kind of tracks where you really gotta, you can attack it at first, and then you gotta finesse it and keep those tires under you. That makes a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, and speaking of tracks, you want to
go ahead, Nate? No,
yeah. So I had a question about your Road America win, because you talked about tracks that eat up tires, and Road America's up there for you when it comes to those tracks. And obviously, you won a race there in 2017, and I think a lot of people nowadays forget what that was like, because I think you and who was it, Matt Tift, were racing. You guys spun coming to the white flag, and you came back and won. I thought it was insane watching that live, because normally that doesn't happen. And I want to know, like, what was going through your mind when all that was going down?
Yeah, man, that was badass. I had to get close to hear you because I got the phone turned up all the way, but I don't know, the volume's not the best. But man, that was obviously my favorite moment in my racing career. It was something I've been trying to do my whole career, and win a race in NASCAR. And the thing is, we're in our own team. We run our own team. It's small, and it's tough to do this. So it was special to do it and to win against that year. It was pretty stacked too. It was a tough field every week. Like if you ran top 20, and you were a small team, it was a good day. But winning that race was amazing. And I remember we got tires from one of the Gibbs cars that weekend. They crashed out, and my tire guy Dave went and got their tires. And we've got a video of the car right on that lift right there with the wheels, and we rubbed the brake dust off the wheel, and it had JGR decal on it. That was something special. That's what we do a lot of the time, honestly. If we don't buy all the tires initially, we'll wait, see if somebody has any trouble, and we'll try to buy their tires for half off. So we try to save money that way. But yeah, it was I can't imagine, like, when I was in that car and I got together with Tift. I remember we were really fast, a lot faster. I ran them down, had fresher tires because we stayed out forever, and I was so much faster than him. I just was trying to set him up, and he was doing what he needed to do to block me. And I was really loose under braking that day for whatever reason. And I remember there was a few times that I got the back really loose, getting in the corner, wheel hopped. And then when I finally went to, I'd really beat him through those last couple corners. So I said, I need to pass him before that white flag, because if there's a caution and I haven't yet, the race is over. So I said, I got to go for it. So I went for it. I spun out, unfortunately, and then got into him. Definitely didn't mean to. And spun us both out. And I luckily just it refired so quick. I was like, oh, thank God. And kept it going, went up that big hill. And I remember Danny Gill, the crew chief, was like, just bring it on home. You're in first still, and you got a big lead. And I just like, holy hell. I couldn't believe it. So it was a dream come true, man. I mean, it just, I used to win a lot in dirt racing. And then went on a dry spell after, trying to race NASCAR Xfinity Series full time in your own equipment. So to win that race was special, and obviously it just makes you want more and more. You just get so hungry for that victory, and it's what we do this for. And if I wasn't any good at it, I damn sure wouldn't even still be here, or I wouldn't try to make my family work as hard as they do and all this to make this happen. So definitely feel like we can get the job done and win, and want to prove to people we can do it again.
Yeah, and you kind of taken on that underdog role, and you guys have been steadily getting better every single time you guys get on track. And I think, if I remember correctly, Jeremy Clements Racing was kind of an on and off deal until about 2011. You guys have been crawling your way up. Right. But prior to that, I'm not sure if a lot of people know, you made plenty of Xfinity and ARCA starts to that, and you've also made a couple of starts or tried to qualify in JGR equipment. So can you explain kind of your relationship with JGR earlier on in your career?
Yeah, so what was it, 2008 or 9, maybe, I think, both of those years. My brother Jason works at Joe Gibbs Racing, and he still does. And he was on one of the teams, and they had 2 Xfinity teams at that time. And I guess, back then they needed like Kyle Busch and Joey Logano were going to race an Xfinity race at Kentucky, Nashville, whatever, and they were going to be at another track Cup was racing at, whatever. So I guess they were like, hell, who can we get to practice qualify this car? Does anybody know? So my name got popped up, and here I am. So it was a great opportunity for me to get in such good equipment. It was challenging though. As far as like, you were put in a hard spot, like at Kentucky. I qualified 7th. I remember that car was fast as hell. Like, I barely had to drive it. It was stupid fast. We were 2nd in practice. This is Kyle Busch's car. He's a lot taller than me, right? So I'm sitting in his seat. I'm not that comfortable in it. But it is what it is. You got to deal with it, right? Anyway, so they weren't full time that year. So Jason Ratcliffe, the crew chief, back a month or 2 before this race, they went to Darlington with Denny Hamlin. He was fastest in practice, went to qualify, hit the wall in turn 1, didn't make the race. So they're like, all right, Clements, just go out there, make a lap. Don't do anything. Don't wreck this damn car. Do not do anything dumb. I'm like, oh boy, a lot of pressure. So I went out there, and I remember I said, dang, I barely drove this. And we qualified 7th. I was like, good Lord. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I drive my car 110% all the time, and I drove theirs 50%, and we were 7th. So that was I was just like, yeah, that's how fast their stuff is. So I got a few more of those opportunities. Just did what they wanted me to do, and I was hoping that would work into a deal where I could drive for them, but it didn't, unfortunately. That kind of team needs $150,000 to race, and I don't have that kind of funding behind me. So I'm very, very happy with the partners I have, and they fund JCR, but we haven't, it's tough to get to that level. That's a whole nother level. But it was cool as hell to do that, and really enjoyed that experience.
We do have a fan question here in the comments. It's a really long comment, so I don't really want to put it up on the screen. But Matt wants to know, he said, first off, looking forward to seeing you again at the track this summer. His question is, the last 2 years, you haven't had to prepare backup cars to take to the track. So with practice and qualifying returning this year, how has that changed the shop prep or the shop mentality looking weeks ahead into the schedule?
Yeah, that's a great question, Matt. Man, to be honest, dude, I'm dreading it already. To get 2 cars ready every week, it's a pain in the ass, really. And I mean, to make sure they got what they need on them and they're race ready, and it just, I don't miss that part of it. It's tough. So it's going to be a pain, but it is what it is. We got to deal with it. We've done it before. We'll do it again. But a lot of the times, I'm trying to think. So the Atlanta car where we're going to race, it's this, look there. It's actually Flying Form. It's going to be on that car. This right here. It's going to be a whole patriotic car. It's a couple grand just to letter this car. So I'm like, what do we do with the backup? Do we don't letter it, right? I mean, or do we? Because if you go and wreck, you got to have the backup. I mean, it makes those problems come up. So it's a pain.
But to be honest, at that point, I would make sure the car was not lettered, and that is one of those that have that extra wrap with you just in case. If not, you use it when you rewrap it for the next race that they use. So that's cool.
And that's a one race scheme deal too. So that really makes it tough.
Wow.
That's a problem I'm gonna have to face soon.
Yeah. So that brings up a bunch of good questions actually. I hadn't even thought about that. Preparing for this show, I had not even thought about the ramifications of practice and stuff coming back. But as a fan, obviously, I want that for all 3 series because I want to see track, hot track all weekend long if I'm spending money.
I don't blame you.
I mean, is that a fear going into this year for, competition and money wise stuff? Is that going to set you back competition wise because you're spending more time on not just a primary car and putting a secondary car on track? And also, is that what has helped you in the last couple of years compete at a higher level?
Yeah, definitely make it tougher on the guys and myself for sure. Just getting everything ready each week. I don't think it'd affect our on-track performance. It'll definitely make the budget go up. For these practices, you got to use an extra set of tires, and then you're going to put on new tires to qualify. And yeah, you better have that backup ready because you just never know when you're going to need it. You have no idea. I mean, anything can happen. You can run over a piece of debris and have a flat tire and hit the wall. So you just want to be prepared. What was the second question?
Just whether or not, you kind of answered it, whether or not it was going to affect your performance because you had to allocate the resources extra to that secondary car, which I think you kind of got to. So I'm going to shift gears now and kind of take off of your current racing stuff and go off into who exactly Jeremy Clements is. So I do want to ask you, when we strip off the helmet, take off the fire suit, and get rid of the race cars, who exactly is Jeremy Clements? How would you describe yourself as a person?
Dang, you want to call my wife? I don't know. That's a hell of a question. I mean, I don't know. I'm just a guy that likes to have fun and, be with people that people laugh. I like to make people laugh, joke around, have a good time. I try to be a good person. I like to do good things for people. Besides that, I love to race. Obviously, I've raced my whole life. So, racing's my passion, and I've been blessed. I just turned 37. Whoa, that's scary. But I've been racing since I was 7, so 30 years. And that's pretty special to me to do something I love to do for a career, not do a real job, right? So, right. But I do work my butt off, or I try to work my butt off to make all this keep going and the best it can be. But this is not a real job, so I don't take it for granted, and I will complain about it sometimes with all the extra stuff I got to do, but I'll be like, all right, you need to shut up because this is, it could be, dude, it could be way worse, right? So you got to tell yourself all that, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I feel like I like to have fun any chance I get, cut up, drink a beer or wine or anything with somebody and have a good time, man. I'm always looking for a good time.
Yeah. All right, then. I'm gonna keep hitting you with these hard questions now, so don't keep them belts tight. So we here all know that you grew up in a racing household. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but I do want to know, outside of racing, if you didn't grow up in a racing household, where do you think you could see yourself?
Oof, man. Oof. I don't know. I don't have a clue. Wow, that's a tough one. I really don't know. I don't know what I would do. I was brought up in this shop behind me, not the one I'm sitting in the one back there where that lift is. That's the original shop that my grandpa started in. And I remember I was a kid and I was running around chasing him, and he'd give me a carburetor to work on and things like that. But I don't have a clue what I would do. I'd be lost. I guess I'd have to be an Uber driver for a little while. I'm good at cleaning at home, so I could be I always clean at home, right? I'm always cleaning my wife's mess or whatever. So I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you.
Yeah. But like you said, your grandpa started the engine stop stuff. Your dad, he actually, I don't. He still currently does build engines for late models and modifieds, correct?
Yeah, my dad Tony and his brother Glenn Clements.
Yeah. So can you kind of explain to all the fans who might not know that you are actually from a racing family about your dad and his brother putting in the racing engines and some of the other stuff y'all have done in the short track community around Spartanburg?
Yeah, so my grandfather Crawford Clements and his brother Lewis Clements were crew chiefs in the 50s and 60s for multiple NASCAR teams and drivers, and they were super smart people. And they worked anywhere with Buck Baker, Junior Johnson, Rex White, to name a few. AJ Foyt. They won races. They won championships. They won the 1960 championship with Rex White. So anyway, they're pioneers of sport. So that's really cool to me. And then they got my dad and Uncle Glenn racing, and they started racing. And then they realized that, hey, I need to get a real job to put food on the table for my family full time instead of racing. And you never know if you're going to have money or not. So they started the racing engine deal and have been doing it ever since. And right now they really just specialize in dirt late model engines. And if you watch a dirt late model race, you'll probably see a Clements Racing engines or multiple for sure. They're really good at what they do, and they work day and night. They're probably over there right now, or they went to dinner and they're coming back. I mean, they work like I've never seen anybody work before. It's crazy to me. And then they build our own engines here at JCR, so we're able to save a big cost of building our own racing engines. We're got to be the only team that do that anymore, for sure. So that's pretty special to me too, that we do that. We're making them better and better and trying to compete with these big teams. So that's just a brief, summary of what they do. And they do a lot of other random things too, but they really like to specialize in they built Tony Stewart's sprint car heads, their cylinder heads. So they do some stuff like that here and there, but they really don't like to. They've got so much business, they don't want to dabble in all this other stuff.
Right.
But being that you said something about late model motors and everything, how cool was it to when Brandon Overton won both Dreams and One World 100 last year with that Clements Power Pan under the hood?
That's badass, man. I watch a lot of the dirt late model stuff, and I still want to drive those cars. And I might with somebody. I got to find the right deal, but I can bring an engine to it. But I don't want to do it out of this shop. It's too much. We've tried that. I was a nightmare. But it was pretty special watching Overton win, and man, he kicked butt last year, and proud of their effort. And they also won the Luke. They got a trophy over next door, the Lucas Oil Late Model Series, like Engine Builder of the Year award. They won that, so that's pretty special. But man, they deserve. They worked so hard, and I'm so proud of them.
So when you were growing up, prior to your own racing career, how closely were you working with that stuff? And if you were pretty hands on with it, how do you think that's helped you with owning your own team?
With what
with the engine building and being close to
that. So yeah, the engine shop. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I actually co-opted to the engine shop in high school, and I worked on some machines here and there. But man, the engine shop, I've always not been in there much as far as working on things. I've always been the driver. I've always been that part of it. So working on that stuff, yeah, I know my way around it for sure. I was actually over there earlier helping take the engine off the dyno that we just ran for our West Coast car. I was walking through there and I saw that my dad needed some assistance, so I stopped and helped for a few to get that out there. But I know my way around, but I'm saying I don't I can take an engine apart, but anything else, I mean, I haven't touched one of those machines in a while. Like a milling machine or a lathe. Not gonna lie, I haven't used one of those in a while. So I'm usually doing what I got to do. But those guys, they're really talented at what they do. So if I need something made or welded, I'll go to them. I'm not gonna be like, I want to do this myself and take all this time to do all that. I just no, I'm just gonna give it to somebody that knows how to do this, does it every day.
Well, I mean, delegation is a good part of leadership. So knowing that they can do it better than you is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
but
hey.
So since you're not over there doing engine buildings, tinkering and stuff, what kind of hobbies outside of racing do you have? I've heard you might be a pretty good photographer.
That's funny, man. Uh-huh. That's a good one. That must have been from Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife is a social media influencer, right? I guess. Yeah. So she's really big on TikTok right now. She's got 400-something thousand followers.
Damn.
And then she's got 95,000 or so on Instagram. So she got big on TikTok right when 2020, February, March, I guess when COVID started, that nightmare. But she gets all these campaigns and does all these videos, and she'll need me to take pictures when we go places, or she's getting an outfit that she got paid to put on or something, or man. So it's always something with that mess. But she'll be like, if she's like, hey, where are you going to be today? What's your plan for the day? I'm like, oh hell. I'm like, I gotta go. I'll start lying. I'll start making up stuff. I'm like, I ain't staying here. No, I'm kidding. I try to help her as much as I can, but it's a pain in my butt, to be honest. But I love her to death. Besides that, I mean, I'll go home, play Xbox. I like to grill out. I grilled out past 2 nights with my charcoal grill. I like to do that. I like to see movies. I like to hit some balls with the boys and drink some beer. I go ride go-karts a lot. Just stuff like that. Whatever's fun, man. I'm always, if anybody wants to do something fun, they call me and like, hell yeah, we'll go. I don't care. So always looking for fun things to do to get the adrenaline going.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's probably nothing else that gets your adrenaline going more than driving 200 mile an hour. But
yeah, I mean, I went skydiving a couple times. That was pretty close.
Oh, well, I've done that, so I can say I've been close to driving a race car. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. That's cool, man. Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it. It's incredible. I mean, the feeling of nothingness, it's like, it's so weird, but so fun at the same time.
It is.
You know, you've done it.
I want to do it by myself one day. So that's one of my goals. I'm going to have to take the classes and do all that, but I definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
See, I don't know why you'd want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane that can land.
I'm with you, Chad. Man,
see, you guys, it might be safer on the ground, but it's a whole lot less fun.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
You haven't hung out with me, Alex.
I think it was easier than riding some of the roller coasters I've rode. Honestly,
the hardest
I mean,
part's
I think
the chute opening.
Do what?
The hardest part's the chute opening. Everything else is it's either exhilarating or just blissful because you're,
I agree. I actually got my mom and dad to do it the last time, and they loved it. So I'm always trying to get people to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll opt. I'm going to opt out if you say we're going to an airport. Then
I'm trying to get a couple of my partners to do it from Spartan Waste and then Fox Sports Spartanburg. I'm trying to get them to go with me. They want to, so I think those are my next victims.
Well, if we find our way up to Spartanburg, might have to go do those 10 or 15 jumps at the jump school with you. That way, you can go ahead and get your license.
I'd love to. I really would. I got to make time to do it. I know like right now they're not. The one that I've been to is in Chester, South Carolina, but I don't think they're doing anything this month because it's cold. But I think they start back up next month. So just finding the time to do it is just the biggest problem.
Well, if you weren't racing so damn much, you only race 33 weekends out of the year.
I know. God.
Oh man, but getting us back on track. I did kind of want to say something about your early career. A bunch of people, like I said earlier in the show, probably only know you from your Road America win and forward, just because of your trajectory after what happened. And I think it was 2003, 2004. You were 19 years old at 311 Speedway. Said that your drive shaft came through your car and injured your hand. And then you had to even have multiple surgeries, including having your hand sewn to your hip for a skin graft and stuff like that. Could you explain to the people watching exactly what happened and how quickly you bounced back to getting into a race car?
Yeah, man, that was terrible. That was 2004, July. The same day my grandfather Crawford died, July 24th. He died in 96. This was July 24th of 04. So that's kind of weird. But it was one of them. It was one of those weekends. Nothing went right. We went to some track in Tennessee. I can't even think of the name of it now. It was like a 5/8 mile track, and that's big for dirt late models.
Oh,
so.
that was the Murphy Speedway back in Sweetwater before they shut it down and called it I-75.
Okay, yeah, there you go, Chad. You're right. That's so. We went there and raced, and I remember it was Bill Elliott was racing, so it was a big deal. There's a lot of people there. The track was rough as hell. It was terrible. So we were racing wherever. I don't even remember where we were running, to be honest. And a rock knocked a hole in the oil tank. So didn't even get to finish. We got home really late in the morning. I think 5 a.m. say. So it was really late. Car needed a lot of work. We were going to go run the Carolina Clash Series at 311 that night. Takes maybe 3 hours to get there or so, roughly. A lot of work to do the car. Still need to sleep, obviously. So anyway, got the shop around noon or so, I remember, and I was like, I don't even want to race tonight because we're behind. Anyway, my dad and I kind of got into it. He wanted to go, and I didn't. We ended up going, get there late, miss practice, qualify bad, start back in the heat race. Just a bad night overall. Running, probably 10th to 15th, I bet, in the race, which was terrible. And with like 5 laps to go, the drive shaft broke, which it wasn't a drive shaft, really. It was a torque arm because the track the night before was so rough. That's why I kind of told y'all that. So the torque arm broke, and it's hooked to the rear end, and when it did, just ripped the drive shaft in two, basically, and a piece came in there and got me pretty bad. Knocked my arm and hand about off, and the doctor says like a bomb exploded. So I stopped, pulled to the side of the track, got out, and just fell to the ground. And luckily the ambulance came and got me, and it was terrible, and went to the hospital, and they did like a 7-hour surgery or something. I remember I was screaming in pain, like on the way there. It was terrible. I was like begging them to do something, but I was in the hospital for 3 to 4 weeks, and then they sewed my hand to my side to get that skin graft that's missing. Went home for a month. They did multiple surgeries, before that even, and then it was 10 surgeries all in all. Took a year out of my career, so actually 29 years racing. So I didn't race that year because I had to recover and get this hand right. But they took tendons from my right foot. They took bones from my hip. I mean, it's amazing. It's a huge blessing that they could even fix my hand. So I'm lucky to still have it and it worked the way I needed to work. But that was a rough time in my life, to be honest. That sucked. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. All of it, the whole experience of everything, and your hand, it's got a lot of stuff in it to make it work. So try to protect it. That's all I got to tell you. You don't want to have a problem like I had, for sure.
So going through that experience, did you learn anything? Did it hinder anything in the race car? Anything like that?
Well, it's been such a long time ago, but it was just hard. It was tough not being able to do what I wanted to do, obviously, and race, and that's what I did, and that's how I made money, and all that come to a stop. And I actually had a 5 race deal with a team in the Xfinity Series to drive that year, and that got everything just crashed around me. So it was just, I don't know. You just got through it and prayed to God a lot and tried to make the most of it, but it all sucked. And it was painful as hell. And just glad we got through it. And we were back a full year later. We were back in a car.
Yeah. So you guys watching, don't count Jeremy Clements out for anything. This man has been an underdog and also a bulldog his whole career. So that's pretty much my part of the show done. My part of the interview. I'm going to give it to my goofy looking father. I don't look anything like, and have him tell you some stories from him and Jeremy's colored pass, and then we'll get on to the fan questions and Colton and Nathan. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to my dad.
You remember we met back in 2003, your first and only attempt at the National 100 due to that injury. But do you remember the heat races and the feature from that race, that weekend and everything?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I remember racing there, and that was a whole weekend experience, and we did pretty good. Did we win? I'm pretty sure we won that heat race.
Yeah, you won the heat race, and I do believe you finished fourth in the feature.
Yeah, I remember. I was thinking it was third or fourth. I remember me and Chris Madden ran and swapped positions back and forth, and that was a fun experience. I loved it. Are we still there? My phone said 10%. Sorry.
Yeah.
So all that was fun. I love racing there. That's a great track.
So with a lot of folks that don't know that, I mean, that's how long I've known Jeremy, and we got to meet and met his dad and everything that weekend. So we've had a lot of time to grow at the racetrack as well too. And I might not have got to give him a feature win, but I did give him the checkered at a heat race win. So that was actually kind of cool. And there's a lot of folks racing in Xfinity and Cup now that I have waved checkered flags over, which is kind of awesome to say. And just to see all of those guys going up and down the racetrack and knowing that they came from underneath my flag stand at some point, including Tyler Reddick, who was, he could barely sit in his seat and see over the steering wheel and look at what he's at now,
Yeah.
He still can't barely see over the steering wheel.
That's right.
Yeah. And
I love Tyler, though.
And I know you got your little ties with JGR and everything, and you told me this once, but I'd love for you to tell the fans this, but Kyle Busch wasn't too happy with you for a little while when he started his own Xfinity team. Did that actually have anything to do with why he ran the number 54 instead of 51? And what does the 51 mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle definitely wanted my number, and I wasn't going to let him have it, to be honest. It wouldn't matter who it was. I wouldn't let him have it. So that is why he's 54 or was 54, whatever. But, yeah, 51's been my number since, I don't know, when I've been racing my whole career. So when we finally were able to get it, 2011 full time, from there on, I mean, I'm not letting go of this number. So, it is what it is. But yeah, there was some, I guess he was mad about it, and he let me know it a few times on the track, give me, the bird or whatever here and there, but I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
But out of all the numbers, how did you choose 51?
Oh yeah, so growing up, I love Days of Thunder. So I'd watch Days of Thunder in the cube van my grandfather built for us to go to the dirt track and I watched Days of Thunder to pump me up, and as a kid, and yeah, Days of Thunder is probably still one of my favorite movies, even though I mean it's far fetched as hell. It's really like whoever edited it did a terrible job, but I love the movie regardless, even though it's so flawed with a bunch of little parts that I can sit there and tell you about if we were watching it. But
yeah, like really... all the bad racetrack names when they put the track up and you see them coming out of turn 4 at Atlanta, and it's
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix.
Yeah, so it wasn't well made, but it's such a good movie, and I love it. So I like 51 because of that. Really, that's how I got 51.
Well, that's one of my all-time favorite die-casts that I have is the Exxon 51 for back here in my race room. And so I know what you mean by that. That's just one of my favorite cars. Being where you are in South Carolina, you have got some of the most NASCAR greats sitting there close to you. What are some of the NASCAR greats you've actually got to speak to, sit down with, and get some of the best advice from, say, before some of them retired, or some of them retired long time ago, or even passed away now?
Yeah, I mean, I got to meet a lot of legends with my grandfather. Excuse me, but I was so young, you know, I didn't really know what to even say to them. I was just meeting them and not saying anything probably. But you know, when I won the the race 2017, there was a lot of guys next week at Darlington that came up, anywhere from Darrell Waltrip to Mark Martin. Rex White was there, you know, because it's that throwback weekend. So a lot of legends of our sport were there for that. So they got to come up and we talked, and they said how cool it was that they saw me win. And, you know, they knew Darrell Waltrip knows my family well. So he was talking. He actually wouldn't stop talking. So his nickname is Jaws. So he's great though. But a lot of the guys like that meant a lot to me. Them coming up to me and telling me that, you know, that was special. So, because these are obviously all guys that I got to watch growing up and thought they're legends in my eyes. So to see that, and then you know, even racing when I was growing up, racing against guys like Mike Duvall, Ricky Weeks, Rambo, Jeff Cook, and then getting to race against those guys when I grew up. Finally, we were able to race against them and beat them. That was special, and just be door to door with them, obviously, like that. So raced against, you know, a lot of the dirt legends, and then a lot of NASCAR guys too. So that's really cool to me.
That's awesome. And I know that Alex knows what I do, but I'm sort of like an honorary JCR team member.
You are,
because of stuff that gets done and everything, and I get to see some of them when I go to the track. Can you tell Alex how we got started with all of that and all of everybody else?
Yeah, so Chad, he creates a lot of things for us, from our mats to our pit wall, pit box banners, and different design themes. He's really good at that. I mean, he's very talented. So I use him as much as I can, and man, he does a jam up good job. We've gotten with a lot of other teams because his work is so good, and they're getting a lot of mats made from him, and he'll design them, put anything you want on them, all our partners and our numbers and everything. And he does such a good job, and he's so smart with it that you really don't have to tell him. You just say, hey, I need this and that on it, and let him go wild, and he comes up with the stuff he does, and it's amazing. So I mean, I would say that if you weren't on here, Chad. So thank you. Thanks for all the hard work you do for us, and creating all the special stuff you do, buddy.
You're welcome. I appreciate it. And one day I'm going to get me a double X shirt for wearing at the racetrack. Would you just make sure you order one when you order some of your team shirts, so I can get one?
I sure will. No problem on that. I just never even think about that, you know. So I will. That's in my head now because I'm the one that does all that stuff.
Yeah, I told y'all he spends a lot of time on the phone doing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Stuff I don't want to do, by the way. It's not all the stuff I want to do.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Even though you have to work with this goofy man all the time. But I want to go ahead and pass it over to the rest of the crew and the fans. So you guys go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, so I had a good question. I try to do this for every guest, no matter who it is, and I've always enjoyed getting to hear the responses for these questions. But did you have a favorite driver growing up? Favorite paint scheme? Anything like that?
Yeah, dude. I was a big Kyle Petty fan. For what I don't really know why. I don't have a clue. Now that I think about it, I guess I loved his car, the mellow yellow 42, badass car. I loved it. Dude had long hair. He just looked different than any of the other drivers, and occasionally he won. So
yeah,
I guess I love Kyle. I was a Kyle Petty fan for a long time, and so I should have mentioned him too. Hell, him and Dale Jarrett. I didn't think. I was trying to think of everybody. Jeff Burton, but those were guys that came up and talked to me too. But those are guys, like I said earlier, you watch as a kid and you think they're legends and they're amazing drivers, and you get to talk to them and meet them, and now you get to see them every week because they work in the same deal. So that's really cool to me. But yeah, Kyle Petty, man.
Very interesting.
I want to know. People have been commenting all stream since you've been on here, and quite a bit of them have called you Jug. Where's that name come from?
I used to run around the shop and terrorize the guys that work here, and they with a milk jug carton cut in half, and I'd wear it on my head, and they'd say Jughead, here comes Jughead, and so I would run around. Wow. And there's up in the engine shop, there's an upstairs area where it's they just put boxes, whatever. I had a Ford up there. I'd get up there with rubber bands. I'd wear my Jughead, and I'd shoot them. I'd shoot the guys out there working, and man, I terrorized the hell out of them. I mean, it was fun. So I don't know if they probably didn't enjoy Jughead then, but that's how I got that nickname.
That's a damn good story.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, but I don't know if they did.
Nate, do you have another one?
Yeah, so I wanted to hit on another one. We talked about it earlier in the show, how you love like the worn out tracks, abrasive surfaces. If there was one racetrack you could drive for the rest of your life, which one would you pick and why?
I would have to probably say Bristol. I mean, and Bristol's not your wore out type track, but it's a track I grew up type racing, like Cherokee Speedway here in Gaffney, South Oval, not as banked as Bristol, but I grew up racing big bank tracks, Bulls Gap in Tennessee, Crossville, Tennessee. Those are really bank tracks. So I really love bank tracks, right? And it's a short track, half mile, a lot of action. The grooves change, and it's a fun track. Darlington would probably be right there. The old Atlanta too. I love Atlanta. I'd probably say that too. The Atlanta we had, not the Atlanta we have now. I'm really bummed about that. Golly, I honestly dread going to that track because it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to pass. We're going to run a plate. I dread all that. So it's going to change the whole dynamic. And the reason why I was good there is because I could keep the car wound up, run different grooves, search for different things, and man, I love that track. Now they've did what they did to it. So trying to be positive, but
wow, I never knew about the plates. You mentioned running plates at Atlanta. I knew that the Cup was going to do something like that, but Xfinity too? Like we never knew that.
Yeah, so we're going to run the same body, same intermediate car with the same engine we'll probably run at Daytona with a plate on it. So we're going to have half the power. I guess they're just trying to keep the speeds down. They went and did a Goodyear tire test there recently, and they were running I think they were running 31 or and a half second laps maybe, and that's what they want. And that's still, I don't know what mile per hour that is. average speed, I'm guessing maybe 180 or so, maybe in that range, say. But yeah, I guess if we didn't have that plate, we'd be just going, well over 200 miles an hour. So I guess they're just trying to keep us in that range. And then they probably want us to have a pack race, which as a driver I hate.
Right.
So I'm not into all that.
Yeah, I'll definitely miss the old Atlanta.
You bring up an interesting point there, and so we always talk about off throttle time being better. We, all of us have been saying that since 2017 when they put taper spacers on the cup cars, etc. You guys are running 650 at the mile and a half tracks, Darlington and like. Do you
700?
700?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think with that much horsepower, it would be too dangerous? Do you really think that you guys will be hitting 200 mile an hour consistently without the plate at that new Atlanta?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. We'd be going so fast, our eyes would be about to blow out of our heads. I mean, it would be stupid. I mean, it would be who's got the most cojones.
Okay.
I try to be tame here. So, yeah, I mean, I don't care. I'm not scared. I'll do it in a heartbeat. But I guess they're just trying to keep us below 200. But, yeah, we'd be going super fast. Anytime they repave a track, it just gives you so much grip. You can push the car really hard. But Goodyear has to bring a tire that'll last and it won't blow out. So that makes it challenging, too, because they're hard. And a hard tire is like at Atlanta, you're just going to turn the wheel and you're going to stay in the gas. And if it ever comes loose at all, it's unforgiving. So with that hard tire, when you lose it, you're gone. Before Atlanta, I mean, you're doing this constantly. You're like back and forth. And I mean, you're driving like a dirt car. Now there won't be any of that now. So that's the part that's no fun. But yeah, our engines are 700 horsepower. They actually have a tapered spacer on them that cuts around 90 or so horsepower off that we've ran for forever, 10 years or so more now. So yeah, it is what it is. We'll have to wait a few years to get our Atlanta back.
Yeah, but I can say this. It's been kind of neat and ironic that the best finish you've had at Bristol, I was at the race with you. And ever since me and you've gotten hooked up with the mats and everything, all of your good finishes at Atlanta have been while I've been there as well. So
you better be there in March, whatever.
I will be there.
Yeah, you better be there. We'll get you a credential and a crew shirt. So.
Oh, I mean the crew shirt's good, but I think AMS has got me covered on that.
Oh,
part.
sweet. Well, that's
remember
good.
because I worked there.
That pass for
a different race. Yeah, for like that night Bristol race maybe.
There you go. That's right.
So, man, because I know we were arguing about it when they announced everything.
Oh yeah.
I told the guys. I said I think everybody would love this racetrack if we were still running Gen 4 cars because they'd be high horsepower and stuff. So.
Yeah,
it's kind of disappointing that you say that you guys will be going a little bit too fast for safety concerns. But I mean, we did have 2012 at Michigan, and then also all the years at Auto Club where the cup cars were going 212 in the corner. So, and
maybe that's just me saying that. Maybe they just want us to try to race in a pack. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, NASCAR doesn't call me and tell me what they're thinking, so it's their playground. I'm just a kid playing in it. So I mean, we don't get told why they do the things they do. So I don't even know that really. These are things that I think. So when I
think we're all hoping to not have plates on it here in 5 years or something.
Yeah. But that's what I think. Keep the speeds down and keep in a pack is what they want.
And none of us want that as true fans. So
yeah.
All right. Any of you guys got any other questions? Any fan questions that we didn't hit on?
I do have another one here. I used to be in a Facebook group with another guy who raced in the Busch Series in like the early mid 2000s. And he said that the first time he went to Dover, it absolutely blew his mind because it was like a 2-story drop off going into the corner. And then we've also heard the Dale Jr. story of the first time he went to Talladega. He didn't think the car was going to stick going into turn 3. So was there a track that you went to for the first time and it just completely blew your mind, whether the size of it or the speeds you were running or anything like that?
Yeah, man, probably. Yeah, we go with Talladega and then Dover because Talladega. I was never an asphalt guy until I was 17. I raced ARCA. My very first asphalt race was at Talladega. We went for a test there, and I was told just hold it wide open. So I go out there and go. I remember going into turn 3, and I thought, damn, these are some big banks. But they said hold it wide open and it stick. So I'm a young dumb kid, so I did it, and it was fine. It was nothing to it, but yeah, it was intimidating at first for sure because you're like, oh man, this is wild. And then the first time at Dover, that place is a track you got to attack, and you run, average speed there is 150 and a half or 60 in a mile track. So that's hauling the mail. So you go down in that corner and you go downhill, and then that place has got long corners, and you let off a little bit, let the car set, and you don't even really get out of the gas all the way if the car's handling right. You might just trail brake a little bit, then back in it as hard as you can, like as soon as you can. And you really got to tug that wheel and trust the car, and you got to drive the hell out of it. And then you go back up the hill. So the speed sensation at Dover is unlike most places we go to. You got to tell yourself, oh God, I got to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. We did have one question for Jeremy. What do you think about the upcoming Xfinity race at Portland, and how are you preparing for it? And to shout out Steve Carnes from First Pacific Funding, he is going to be on our show next week. We actually were going to ask him the same question because that's where the Pacific Northwest, where that company is out of. So what do you think about that race at Portland?
I'm excited as hell to get our series out there. We don't have anything out in that area, so that's going to be a blast. I've already done some simulator time on that track. I learned it pretty quick. It took 20, 30 minutes to learn it and know what gear to be in and start running in competitive time. So I've already done that, and I'm sure I'll do more with given the opportunity. But it's a fun track. I watched the IndyCar race there last year, and I don't remember. They hadn't announced it yet, so I was like, "Oh, look at this track." I didn't know much about Portland, but I'm excited for it, and it's going to be a track that we can go to, and we could have a chance to win, in my opinion, because it's a new track, and you just don't know what's going to happen or what the setups and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. We're going to have First Pacific Funding on the car. They're out of Washington nearby, so I'm excited for all that. And it's going to be a blast. And I love racing new tracks, going to new areas and seeing different things and experiencing different things. So I'm all for it. I'm glad they put it on the schedule. The only negative thing is it's just across the country. So for our hauler and to prepare for all that, the hauler need to leave Monday or that week. So I don't even know where we're raced the weekend before, but all that logistical stuff, that's the only issue I see, but we'll get through it. But everything else would be great.
Yeah, so it's going to be good to see that market actually have a race. I can tell you from watching the recent IndyCar races there, you got to be very sketchy. It's going to be very sketchy in turn 1, so watch out.
Yeah, I crashed the simulator there a couple times getting into turn 1 because I didn't know where the hell to brake at first, and it comes up quick. So once I figured out where to look at the signs and where I could get in, it's a hard right and then another left, pretty hard left too, and right off the get go. So that's gonna be wild for sure. I mean, hopefully we get through there unscathed every time, but every restart will be crazy.
I got one more question for you, and I know that I've been to these races with you. I've seen the photo ops and everything beforehand, where everybody wants a photograph before you get in the car and everything, because they've had less time because of the COVID stuff and everything like this, but it makes it crazy. But do you have a pre-race ritual that you try to get yourself prepared for? And then knowing you're taking care of your fans, your teams, your owners, not owners, but sponsors at the race that weekend with all these photo opportunities, and does it break you from your mindset before you get in the car?
Yeah, it's tough. You got to do all the things you need to do and spend time with your partners, get all the pictures everybody wants, and talk to them and share that moment. It's an awesome experience for them, for me. So I don't know. I've done this so long now that I don't have anything to do. As long as I'm where I need to be at the right time, I can. Once I put the helmet on, I need to slap myself around a little bit, get mad, and that way I can drive hard as hell. But I just, it's game time when you put the helmet on. So you don't really, you just you before that and having fun with your people, and then when it's time to go, it's time to go. And you I guess over time you figure out how to do that, and I guess I've done that now. So just figure out what I need to do, and I'm ready to go out there and kick ass.
Well, that's awesome. I want to say thank you for actually helping us do the show tonight too, before just as a personal favor for me and everything. So I really do appreciate what you've done and taking the time to do tonight.
Oh, no problem, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'll have to watch some of next week with Steve. Steve's an awesome dude. He's well in our corner, JCR 51 corner. So he's helped me out a lot, and I think it's been a cool experience for him to be a part of this now, because he grew up loving racing, which you'll hear all about next week. So that'll be fun for you all, and thank y'all for having me, and hopefully we'll see you at a track soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being on. And everybody, go ahead and give Jeremy a follow on Twitter at JClements51. Go follow JC Racing as well. Go support him. He came and supported us tonight, so go support him. Thank you again for being on, and we wish you good luck in this 2022 Xfinity season.
Thank you guys again. I appreciate it.
Give all your sponsors a shout out before the season starts if you need to too.
Oh man, we'll be here forever, but we've got so many great partners. Seriously, so we got All South Electric. We got this. I've been wearing this hoodie. Flying Form Concrete Structures out of Atlanta. We got First Pacific Funding, obviously. We got Boost Pops. We got Wings Etc. Kevin Whitaker Chevy. R.A. Goodson Construction. One Stop Convenience Stores with Scott Ward. I mean, yeah, you don't want to hear me going on. Z-Max. There's so many, man. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people in my corner to make this happen. So it means a lot for me that I have so much support, and that's really special. So I definitely missed a few, by the way. So, but thank you guys for letting me do that.
Yeah, well, like we said, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Hope to at least get a little bit more of a spotlight on you to some of the fans who might not know you. And I hope you guys enjoy the show and go support Jeremy this year in 2022. So we'll see you. Thanks for coming on, man.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
All right. See you. All right, everybody. Just want to have a quick shout out for us. Follow us on Twitter or Facebook at FanFuelMSM, capital F, capital MSM. Go give a shout to Jeremy at his Twitter handles for JC Racing and J Clements 51. Jeez. And be sure to check us out at fanfuelmotorsports.com. We've got all kinds of stuff happening. We're uploading some of our esports stuff. We're getting ready to start dropping IMSA stuff as we've got the Rolex 24 this coming weekend. We'll have the Clash stuff coming after that, and we're getting ready to roll with 2022 big time. Colton, I'm going to pass it over to you because we got a big announcement for you and Jared's show, Slick Track Podcast.
Yeah, we do have a big announcement. For those of you that tuned in, we recorded and just now released the first episode of Slick Track Podcast, the first Fan Fuel Motorsports podcast. to cover exclusively dirt content. This next week on February 3rd, we have lined out, thanks to Chad, Logan Schuhart, driver of the number 1S Dryden in the World Outlaws. So I am super stoked for that. It's going to be cool to have Logan on. And then we have also Bill, I cannot pronounce his last name. Chad, you're going to have to help me with that.
Bill Klingbeil
on the podcast as well. He's a representative for Dryden. So we're going to have a nice chat with Logan next week. Be sure to check us out again Thursday, February 3rd.
And their most recent and pilot episode will be on streaming services sometime tomorrow, along with tonight's episode number 47 of Spartan Among Us, where we feature Jeremy Clements. So appreciate you all watching, and we'll see you guys next week. All right, bye.